This is ShadowQuant, Stocks, brought to you by AresLabs.ai. Before we begin, please note, what you are about to hear is an AI agent panel. All analysis, voices, and production are generated by artificial intelligence. Nothing you hear constitutes financial advice. Always do your own research. Today is Friday, April 24, 2026, and this is the New York pre-market. Now, let's get into it. Let's start with a recap. Pulse, you called QQQ bullish, targeting 658. The index is now at 651.42. That's a 6.58-point miss. I saw the bearish momentum in the tech sector, but I didn't expect the rotation into utilities to happen so fast. I'll be watching the next few days carefully. Grid, your call on QQQ was also bullish, targeting 657.5. Actual price, 651.42. That's a 6.8-point miss.
I was focused on the 10-day range, but I didn't factor in the sector rotation. I'll adjust my approach to include more macro-driven signals.
SPECTER, you were the only one to call QQQ bearish, targeting 647. Actual is 651.42. That's a 4.42-point miss, but you got the direction right.
The rotation was the key. I saw the shift in flows and the VIX movement. I'll be watching for further breaks below 645.52.
Apex, you called QQQ bullish, targeting 658.5. Actual price, 651.42. That's a 7.8-point miss.
I missed the sector shift. I'll be focusing more on flow data and earnings catalysts moving forward.
CIPHER, you didn't make a call.
I was waiting for more clarity on the earnings season. I'll be more proactive this time.
As of 9:17 ET on April 24, 2026, the S&P 500 is at $708.45, down 0.39%. The Nasdaq is at $651.42, down 0.56%. The broader market is showing a clear rotation from tech and financials into utilities and consumer staples. The VIX is at 18.92, suggesting moderate fear. Let's start with the top story, the sector rotation. SPECTER, you've been focused on the risk implications.
The rotation is a clear sign of risk-off sentiment. The VIX is at 18.92, and the yield curve is still normal, but the underperformance in tech and financials is a red flag. I'm watching for a break below key levels like $702.28 on SPY and $645.52 on QQQ.
Pulse, you've been analyzing sentiment.
The sentiment is mixed, but the VIX is at 18.92, which suggests moderate fear. The sector rotation is a sign that investors are moving to safer assets. I'm not seeing the same level of bullish sentiment in tech ETFs like QQQ or the technology sector.
Let's move to the SPY. Grid, you've been focused on technical levels.
SPY is at $708.45, down 0.39%. The 10-day range is $676.58, $712.39. Key support is at $702.28, the April 23 low. If SPY breaks below that, it could signal a broader market sell-off.
CIPHER, you've been tracking flows and earnings.
The sector rotation is driven by earnings season. Intel's pre-market gap up is a positive, but HCA's gap down is a negative. The flows are showing a clear shift from tech to utilities and consumer staples. I'm watching for more clarity on how this rotation affects the broader market.
Let's talk about QQQ. Grid, you've been focusing on technicals.
QQQ is at $651.42, down 0.56%. The 10-day range is $608.11, $656.92. Key support is at $645.52, the April 23 low. If QQQ breaks below that, it could signal further weakness in the tech sector.
CIPHER, what do you think about the tech sector?
The tech sector is showing mixed signals. The technology sector is down 1.42%, but it's up 2.51% this week. The rotation into utilities and consumer staples is a sign that investors are favoring defensive plays. I'm watching for more clarity on how this affects the broader tech sector.
SPECTER, do you agree with grid technical read on QQQ?
I think grid read is too focused on the technicals. The broader market context shows a clear shift away from tech, which could lead to a sustained break below $645.52. I'm not just looking at the chart, I'm looking at the flows and the sentiment.
Let's move to the utilities sector. CIPHER, you've been tracking flows.
The utilities sector is up 2.72% today, which is a strong performance. The flows are showing a clear shift into utilities, which is a defensive move. I'm not surprised by the performance, but I'm watching for how long this rotation lasts.
Pulse, what's the sentiment on utilities?
The sentiment is positive, but not overly optimistic. Investors are moving to utilities for safety, but they are still cautious. I'm not seeing the same level of bullish sentiment as in previous rotations.
SPECTER, you pushed back on grid read on QQQ. Let's dig into that.
Grid is focused on the technicals, but I'm looking at the broader market context. The sector rotation is a key factor, and I don't think the technicals alone can tell the whole story. The VIX is still elevated, and the flows are showing a clear shift away from tech.
I understand the broader context, but the technicals are still important. The 10-day range and key support levels are critical for short-term direction. If QQQ breaks below $645.52, it could signal further weakness.
That's exactly what I'm worried about. The technicals are a reflection of the flows, not the other way around. If the flows are shifting, the technicals will follow. I'm not just looking at the chart, I'm looking at the data.
I agree with SPECTER. The technicals are important, but they are a reflection of the flows. If the flows are shifting, the technicals will adjust. I'm not saying the technicals don't matter, but they're not the only factor.
My 24-hour call. QQQ bearish. Target $645.52 by next session.
My 24-hour call, QQQ bearish, target $645.52 by next session.
My 24-hour call. The technology sector bearish. Target $155.84 by next session.
My 24-hour call. SPY bearish. Target $702.28 by next session.
My 24-hour call. QQQ bearish. Target $645.52 by next session.
The consensus is that QQQ is bearish, with a target of $645.52. SPECTER and Grid are the most vocal about the technicals, while CIPHER and Pulse are focusing on the flows and sentiment. The biggest disagreement is around the role of technicals versus flows. This is AI-generated content for informational purposes only, not financial advice. That wraps up this edition of ShadowQuant Equities. Stay tuned for the New York session, where we will see how these calls play out. Until then, trade safe.